Welcome to today's Explainer. Today we're doing something really cool. We are transporting you to a world where life just grows larger, greener, and honestly more extraordinary than almost anywhere else on Earth. We're talking about equatorial tropical forests. I want you to just imagine a place filled with towering leaves, brilliant colors, all sorts of hidden creatures, and these incredibly ancient ecosystems. From South America to Southeast Asia, all the way over to the vibrant landscapes of Africa, tropical plants have been evolving for literally millions of years, and they've been doing it in these warm, rain-drenched environments to create a living network of sheer, unimaginable scale. It's like a giant puzzle where every single piece is alive.
Okay, let's dive into this, because when we break down how species are distributed across the globe, something absolutely astonishing is revealed. Despite tropical rainforests covering only an incredibly small fraction of our planet's surface, they hold over half, yes, more than 50% of all plant and animal species on Earth. So why is that? Well, unlike regions that freeze over in harsh winters, the areas near the equator offer incredibly stable, warm conditions year-round. And this amazing environmental stability means plants don't have to waste all their energy just trying to survive the bitter cold. Instead, they can pour all that energy into rapid growth, massive leaves, and just jaw-dropping biological diversity.
To really grasp how all these plants manage to coexist so densely, we kind of need to take a top-down tour of their home. Think of the tropical rainforest like a massively crowded green skyscraper. There are 4 distinct layers here, and every single inch of vertical space is occupied. Starting at the very top, we have the Emergent Layer. These are the towering giants, pushing 60 meters into the sky, poking right through the roof of the forest, and facing intense sun, heavy rain, and brutal winds. Just below that is the Canopy, which is the thick green roof where the vast majority of life actually hangs out. Descending further takes us down into the Understory, a much darker, heavily shaded world. And finally, we hit the forest floor. Only a tiny fraction of sunlight ever reaches down here, but this is where rapid decomposition recycles nutrients incredibly fast to keep this whole massive system alive and thriving. Now, because every single inch of that space is occupied, life here is fiercely competitive. Plants are constantly battling each other for sunlight, water, and space. And to survive that battle, they've developed some absolutely clever evolutionary traits. Some grow these enormous leaves to capture every single stray ray of sunlight that manages to filter through that thick canopy up above. Others have developed aerial roots, which literally allow them to grab onto and climb up the trunks of taller trees so they can slowly reach up toward brighter conditions. And then there's my personal favorite adaptation, drip tips. These are specially pointed leaf ends that shed heavy rainwater incredibly quickly. And that's absolutely crucial, because standing water on a leaf in a humid jungle, that is just an open invitation for deadly fungal growth.
Actually, scratch that whole climbing from the ground thing, because some plants bypass that entirely. Enter the Epophyte. This is a plant that ignores soil completely and just sets up shop growing directly on the branches and trunks of other trees. They use these highly specialized structures to pull moisture and nutrients straight out of the humid air around them. Think of those beautiful orchids or vibrant bromeliads you've probably seen. By evolving to live way up in the branches, epophytes essentially transform an already dense rainforest into a towering, 3-dimensional vertical garden, stretching all the way from the ground to the treetops.
Now, what's really interesting about this is where it directly connects to you. Think about that wild rainforest understory we just talked about. The plants down there have to survive in limited, indirect light, and they enjoy stable, warm temperatures year-round. Does that sound familiar? It should, because it perfectly mimics the environment of your living room. The consistent warmth, the lack of direct scorching sunlight, the relatively stable conditions. Your living space is remarkably similar to the shaded floor of a jungle canopy.
And boom, there's the aha moment. That explains exactly why our favorite houseplants survive so amazingly well indoors. The Monstera deliciosa with those dramatic split leaves, the shade-loving peace lily, the trailing pothos, syngoniums, philodendrons, alocasias, and anthuriums, every single one of these beloved indoor plants originated in tropical forests. Their preference for the warmth, humidity, and shade in our homes, that's not an accident. It is a direct holdover from millions of years of evolution beneath dense rainforest canopies. So every time you water your Monstera, you are quite literally nurturing a tiny piece of the wild rainforest right inside your house. How cool is that?
But while our houseplants might max out at a few feet tall in a pot, their wild counterparts are playing a completely different game out there. Consider this height for a second. 30 meters. That is massive. That's roughly the size of a 10-story building. When we contrast our little potted plants with the wild giants of the tropics, the scale is just mind-blowing. Trees like the rubber tree, which can grow over 30 meters tall in the wild, or the towering cop oak tree utterly dominate the landscape. These giants act as living pillars, A single mature tree like this supports an entire community of life. We're talking branches for nesting birds, highways for traveling monkeys, and just endless food for insects.
And of course, these massive plant communities certainly don't survive in a vacuum. They rely heavily on the animal kingdom. Plants and pollinators have shared this incredible million-year partnership. See, because the forest is so incredibly dense, wind pollination doesn't work very well. The wind just can't get through the wall of leaves. So tropical flowers have evolved to be nature's most spectacular creations. They use impossibly bright colors, highly unusual and specific shapes, and incredibly powerful fragrances. Why? They act as biological beacons, attracting butterflies, hummingbirds, bats, and very specific species of bees from every direction to come help them reproduce.
This whole relationship comes down to one absolute crucial reality. Without pollinators, many tropical plants could not reproduce. And without plants, pollinators would lose vital food sources. This isn't just a casual relationship, right? It's an absolute dependency. This coevolution is hands down one of nature's greatest success stories. It forms this deeply interconnected web of life where each adaptation strengthens the relationship between the plant and the animal. It's perfectly balanced. But, as we're unfortunately learning today, it is also incredibly fragile.
And that fragility brings us to a pretty stark reality. When we compare the millions of years these ecosystems spent evolving against the millions of hectares of habitat being lost yearly, the sheer speed of modern ecological change becomes staggering. Despite their ancient resilience, tropical ecosystems are currently facing massive, unprecedented threats. Through deforestation, climate change, habitat fragmentation, and illegal logging, millions of hectares of these ancient forests are disappearing every single year. And when those forests disappear, countless plant and animal species abruptly lose their homes. That delicate, million-year web, it just shatters.
So let's look at how this builds into a global issue. You might be wondering, why does a shrinking forest thousands of miles away even matter to us? Well, because the global stakes are incredibly high. Tropical forests regulate global temperatures. They store vast, literally unimaginable amounts of carbon in their massive roots and trunks that would otherwise be released to heat our atmosphere. And they literally influence global rainfall patterns. Scientists are constantly warning us that protecting this incredible biodiversity isn't just about saving some beautiful orchids. It is absolutely critical for stabilizing the climate of our entire planet. The survival of these distant forests is intimately, directly connected to human survival. But listen, it's not all doom and gloom. There is absolutely hope. There is a massive, dedicated effort worldwide to protect the screen world. Every protected forest matters. Every planted tree matters. All around the globe, conservation organizations, scientists, local communities, and botanical gardens are stepping up to the plate. They're working tirelessly to preserve rare species, study endangered plants, and restore those damaged habitats. Even everyday plant enthusiasts are cultivating awareness through education and sustainable practices, all to ensure that these ancient networks of life can continue to thrive for generations to come. So, the tropical world is this brilliant living network of relationships, adaptations, and extraordinary beauty. It's constantly whispering stories of survival that have been millions of years in the making. The big question we have to ask ourselves now is this: will we keep listening to the whispers of the green world? I want to leave you to reflect on that for a bit, and on your own connection to this resilient, extraordinary network of tropical life, even if that connection is just that little potted pothos plant sitting on your desk right now. Thanks so much for checking out this explainer with us today. Keep growing, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.